What's up everybody, Marcus here with Daily Adaptation, and today I want to show you some foam rolling and stretching techniques for the lower body, specifically the bottom of the foot, the anterior tibialis, the gastrock Nemius, the calf, and the soleus. I'm going to be rolling each muscle group for about 2 minutes. You can roll for longer if you'd like, and then after I'm done rolling, I'm going to stretch out each muscle group for 60 seconds in what's called a static stretch. So let's go ahead and get started. What you're going to need today is either a lacrosse ball or a tennis ball and a foam roller. So I'm going to use this foam roller today. This is a Hyperice. It's a vibrating foam roller. It feels really good when I use it, and since I want to get something out of this too, I'm going to go ahead and use this. But a standard foam roller like the one over here in the corner is perfectly acceptable as well. So let's go ahead and start off with the bottom of the foot. So I'm going to take the lacrosse ball in this circumstance, and I'm going to stand right up on top of it with my shoes off. I'm going to roll the bottom of that foot for 2 minutes. So simply just putting weight onto the bottom of that foot, I'm just going to move forward and back just like this, going to the inside edge right here, and then rolling out to the outside edge, but always moving forward and back. So remember, there's not any muscle at the bottom of the foot, it's all connective tissue. So when you do find painful spots in here, it's that connective tissue that you're rolling over, and not necessarily muscle, so be a little bit more forgiving. That being said, if you do find a painful spot, all you simply do is you step on it, hold that spot for a little bit longer. You can round the toes over the top. You can even start to flex those toes up, back and forth, just like that. But ultimately the goal is just to apply pressure, roll forward and back, and get all of those angles. Again, the angle being the inside edge here, through the middle, and the outside edge. About 60 seconds left. Be as aggressive as you'd like. A little bit of pain isn't going to hurt you. In fact, the more you can kind of lean in to those painful areas and put a little more pressure on them, the better. Again, once you do find a painful area, just put a little bit more pressure, allow your toes to curl, and then flex them up, back and forth. So I stay on that soft tissue on the foot. I'm not rolling all the way to the heel. I'm leaving that section alone, right in that in-between space. About 15 seconds left until I switch legs. Okay, switching legs. Same exact thing, rolling forward and back. If you find that the lacrosse ball is a little bit too much for you, go to the tennis ball. I usually try to get the tennis balls to be as brand new as possible so that they're firm enough to actually make a difference. If they're too flat, you're not going to be able to get in there. Again, when you find a painful spot, just apply more pressure, allow the toes to curl over the top, and just flex those toes up, back and forth. I find that when I'm done with this exercise, my feet feel really, really good, and it feels like the rest of the day that I'm walking on small little pillows or cushions. Remember that the feet are the first link in that kinetic chain. So if the feet, the bottom of the foot is really tight, and yet all the connective tissue down there is bound up, it's going to make you move a little bit differently. So if we can get in here and break up any adhesions, that's only going to help your movement to become even more fluid. And movement being walking, running, standing, all that stuff. So if you've ever balanced on a single leg, sometimes you'll notice that your toes will curl together and not spread out. The connective tissue, when it gets bound up at the bottom of the foot, will sometimes do that. It can even cause problems like plantar fasciitis. So this is a great way to keep plantar fasciitis at bay. It's also a good way to treat it, but that's very individualized kind of program treating plantar fasciitis. You wouldn't exactly want to just start off with this. So that's a video for another day. I've got about 15 seconds left here before I move into the Gastrock Nemius or the calf. If one of your feet are a little bit tighter than the other, or you experience a little bit more pain in there, that's not a big deal, but it's definitely something to note if you have an asymmetrical pain difference from right leg to left leg. Okay, that's 2 minutes. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the Gastrock Nemius, which is going to be the calf. I'm going to use the foam roller on that one. Again, 2 minutes. And here we go. So, picking yourself up with your arms just like this, very slowly, 1 inch per second, move all the way up to the top of that calf. Once you make it up to the top of that calf, very slowly once again, roll all the way down to the bottom, right where that Achilles tendon starts. Once you make it down to the bottom, angle change to the outside edge just like this, and slowly move your way all the way up to the top. If you experience any pockets of pain where it's really, really painful in that area, you're more than welcome to do one of 3 things. The first thing would be to sit right on top of it. The second one would be to slide side to side, just like this. The third thing would be to flex the foot in that position, and then drop, flex, and drop, and even add in some ankle circles, just to create a little bit of motion in that area. If you don't want to do any of those 3 things, you can simply just continue to move right over the top of it, 1 inch per second. Now I'm switched to the inside edge. Keep moving your top leg so you can apply pressure straight down on the area you're trying to roll. Lift yourself up with your arms, but as you find a painful spot, you're more than welcome to kind of sit down and lean forward. Now I'm back to that middle portion. Let's say I find a painful spot here. I'm going to bend that knee up. I'm just going to lean into it a little bit more to apply more pressure into that area. And that will kind of help give you a little bit more pressure with taking onto the calf and taking pressure off the wrist. Once you've done all 3 angles, feel free to just search out those little painful pockets and use one of those 3 techniques, either sitting on top of it, sliding side to side, or bending or flexing the ankle and doing circles. Okay, let's switch to the opposite leg. So again, I'm right through the middle. Lift yourself up, slowly move 1 inch per second, keeping the foot as relaxed as possible. So if my left foot was flexed up here, like in this position where I'm flexing that foot hard, I'm not going to be able to get into that tissue. So you want to keep that bottom leg, whatever muscle, whatever leg is being rolled out right now, as relaxed as you possibly can as you roll out that tissue. Okay, back down to the Achilles, rotate to the outside, slow and controlled. Rotating to the inside. Again, moving 1 inch per second. If you're doing this for the first time, this may be really, really painful. That's normal. You're not going to bruise. Most likely you're not going to bruise. I've been doing this a long time. I've never bruised, never had any clients bruise, but everybody's different. But pain is temporary in this position. Pain is kind of what you're looking for, and then over time, you'll start to get better and better where you don't feel any pain as you're doing the exercise. It starts to feel like just a really good massage. So once again, if you do find a painful spot that you want to emphasize a little bit more, you can lean forward over that area, right? Sit right on top of it. You can flex that foot as well as do little ankle circles. You can also slide side to side, causing a little bit of cross friction to help break up that area a little bit more. And again, you're looking for those painful spots, so search them out. Don't be shy. All right, it's been 2 minutes. What we're going to do now is go into the anterior tibialis. So for the anterior tibialis, again, that's going to be that front part of the shin. So not the inside edge where the shin is, but the outside lateral edge of that muscle. So simply I'm gonna put my right leg on top, just like this, at an angle. Hands are gonna come out in front of me. Apply as much weight as you need to that shin. Keep that bottom foot as relaxed as you can, and slowly move up and down 1 inch per second. How far you go down towards the ankle is up to you. Keep the foot as relaxed as possible. Again, moving 1 inch per second, applying as much weight as you feel comfortable. Same rules apply here. When you do find a particularly painful spot, you can sit right on top of it. You can slide side to side, and you can flex that ankle and do little circles back and forth as well. About 35 seconds left here. One of the other things you can do too is you can start to get onto the side of that anterior tibialis a little bit more. Press down with your hand. Again, I'm looking for painful spots. If I find those painful spots, I'll do one of those 3 methods, or you can just simply roll through it. 3, 2, 1, and time. Okay, so I'm gonna give the other leg so you can see the other angle. 2 minutes on the clock. And here we go. Searching for those painful spots. Keeping the bottom foot as relaxed as possible. So now I've shifted my weight out slightly, and now I'm using my hand up on top of the foot. Slowly moving 1 inch per second. If you do find a painful area that keeps persisting and isn't getting any better, you can sit on top of it, apply pressure, you can slide side to side, or you can flex the ankle in that position as well as doing circles. We've got about 50 more seconds left. To breathe, don't hold your breath. Try to keep your face as relaxed as possible, so no grimacing in your face. Any muscle tension held throughout your body is going to definitely affect what you're rolling. You want to try to stay as calm and relaxed as possible, even though you're feeling quite a bit of pain. Okay, so that's been 2 minutes. Now what we're going to need is we're going to need to go back to that tennis ball or the lacrosse ball. Right? So I'm going to use the lacrosse ball once again, and we're going to go into that soleus. So that soleus is the part of the calf that's actually underneath the gastroc nemius. So if this is the gastroc nemius, the one that does this movement, the soleus is when the knee is bent, right? And so we're going to get right down through the middle just like that. So I'm going to take my legs, bring my left leg back and behind me, my right leg out in front, and I'm going to now take this ball, put pressure right in the middle of that soleus, and just move up and down the length of that calf on the side though. So here we go, 2 minutes. Apply as much pressure as you feel comfortable. I'm stabilizing with my opposite hand, and I'm simply rolling and applying pressure with my hand right down through the middle. Right below the bone in this position, kind of squishing the ball into the muscle, which is pushing it against the floor. seeking out those little painful spots. If you do find a painful spot, simply apply pressure, hang out for about 20 seconds, and then you can move on. Or you can do a little bit of cross friction and apply little tiny circles in that area. Or you can trigger in and try to flex that ankle and then relax it, flex the ankle and relax it. Unfortunately, from this position, we can't go circles unless you put it into an elevated spot, but I'll go over that in another video, a little bit more in depth. Take as much time as you need to with these exercises. I'm doing each one for 2 minutes. I find that that is enough time to get benefit out of the exercise. But if you get into an area that's particularly tight and you need a little bit more time, feel free to do foam rolling for as long as you like. As far as I know, to the best of my knowledge, there's no maximum amount of time that you could be foam rolling. The biggest thing is that if you're gonna foam roll really, really deeply and get in there for a long period of time, and then you try to do something that's very athletic, like running, sprinting, playing a sport, or whatever it happens to be that's very athletic, it can sometimes destabilize the joint and just make you a little bit too loose, basically, a little bit too relaxed. And when you're doing things at high intensities, you want to have a little bit of tension. You don't want to be completely relaxed. All right, let's go ahead and switch legs. So I'm bringing that leg back and behind. I put pressure down right in that soleus. I'm going to move. So going back to how long you should be doing this for, if you are going to foam roll and then exercise, that's not a problem. It's actually a really great way to mobilize the joints, warm up, improve range of motion, all of that stuff. But I would recommend only doing it for about a minute or less, just to kind of get a quick overview of that area, rather than do it for 2 minutes or longer, especially if you're not used to the level of flexibility that you get coming out of this movement. So I found a very painful spot right through here. So I'm simply just going to press right onto that area. Hold for about 20 seconds. Breathe. And then I'm going to move on. And what you'll typically find is when you move on, something close to that area will be as painful or even a little bit more painful than the original spot. And you can do the same methodology on that. If you do find that there's asymmetrical differences between your right leg and your left leg, that's okay. It's just something to note. Obviously, you want these to be as even as possible, whether it's even from pain or even from not being in pain at all. Asymmetrical difference means that one leg is either compensating and working too hard or not working hard enough, or you're moving differently or moving in a way that is promoting those legs to work harder or less efficient. Basically, you want to be as symmetrical as possible. Whether that's flexibility or strength. Okay, coming up on 2 minutes here in 3, 2, 1, and time. Okay, so we've rolled out the bottom of the foot, we've rolled out the Gastrock Nemius, the Anterior Tibialis, and that Soleus. So now we're going to stretch everything out. So to stretch things out, I'm going to need to adjust this camera. I apologize. Okay, let's see. One more. Actually, this should be good. Okay, so for the calf stretch, what you simply need to do is put 1 foot forward and 1 foot back, just like this, and then bend into that front knee, keeping your back heel down. And we're going to hang out here for 1 minute. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 1 minute just like this, stretching out the calf with my left foot forward and my right leg back. And then I'm going to take my left foot and step out to the left here to get a slightly different angle for that calf. So 20 seconds each angle. So here we go. I'm now going to take my left leg, step it out to the left, bend into that knee. My right back heel is still on the ground and pointed straight forward. I'm just kind of bending into that angle. Keep dropping into that back heel as much as you can. All right, now I'm going to take my left foot and cross over, bend into that knee. So now my right leg is further to my left
My left leg is further to my right, and I'm bending into that angle and breathing. Keep trying to straighten the back right leg as much as possible, and keep bending into the knee until you experience a stretch. And time. So simply switch out your legs, left leg and back, right foot is forward, bend into that knee. 20 seconds in this angle. If your heel of the back leg starts to come off the ground, back off a little bit until you can keep that leg straight, and you can keep that heel on the ground. All right, I'm gonna take my right leg out to my right now, bend into that angle. Make sure both feet point straight forward. If they're not pointed straight forward, you're gonna lose the symmetry of that stretch. Okay, left leg is back across the body, right leg is a little further out in front. Both feet are pointed straight forward, bend into that angle. And time. Okay, so that's the stretch for the Gastrock Nemius. Now for the Anterior Tibialis, all you simply need to do is take a kneeling position. So I'm in a kneeling position, just like this. I'm just gonna sit back on my heels, and that's it. So for some people, this is very difficult to sit on your heels. If the anterior tibialis are very tight, sitting back on your heels just like this is very difficult, it's challenging. If they're not, it's pretty easy. And what you can do is simply just kind of sit back a little bit more. This is also going to stretch out the quads, obviously. So if you have any pain in this movement, you don't have to go as deep. The great thing is I can actually stretch out both anterior tib at the same time, so I don't have to do independent. You can stretch out both calf muscles at the same time too, but with that three-dimensional stretch where I have 3 different angles of stretch, you're going to need to do single leg. About 15 seconds left, and then we're going to stretch out the soleus. And remember, each stretch is about 60 seconds long. Golgi tendon response happens between 30 seconds and 2 minutes. It all depends on the individual, and all that means is the muscle spindles allow you to expand that tissue and then kind of go to sleep to a certain extent. So they kind of give up and let you get a little bit greater range of motion and flexibility. Okay, so that has been a full minute there. Now we're gonna get the soleus, so this camera's gonna come back down. Okay, so for the soleus, what we wanna do is we wanna find an angle just like this. The leg is gonna remain straight, and I'm simply just gonna lean into that angle. That's it. Both my feet are pointing straight forward. My foot is wedged up against the wall, or in this circumstance, this little ottoman thing. I'm just gonna lean into it. That's it. So the more my upper body and hips lean into it, the more I'm gonna feel a stretch. And we're here for a minute. The thing with stretching is that if you feel the stretch, you're stretching. You don't need to go to the point where the muscle is shaking and quivering. You don't need to experience a really, really strong pull in that muscle. If you feel a stretch, the muscle is stretching. You don't have to push so far. In fact, most injuries happen during end range. And right now, this muscle is stretching close to that end range. So if it starts jumping up and down and doesn't like that, you can move out of that stretch and don't go as intense. Okay, so that's been a minute. Switching the leg, propping that foot up once again, leaning forward into that. Wall is better. Something like this, a piece of furniture like this, isn't as good, but a wall is better. It just kind of happens to work better for me today to do it like this. Again, pressing the hips forward, leaning forward through the upper body is going to increase the stretch here. Come on, bench, stop moving. There we go. Keep the legs straight as you can. Fifteen seconds. 3, 2, 1, and time. All right, okay. So I'm Marcus with Daily Adaptation.
We've been stretching out the muscles of, and foam rolling the muscles of the foot, anterior tibialis, the calf, the Gastrock Nemius, and the Soleus today. Go ahead and go to the next day. I've divided the whole body up into 5 different days, and about 25 to 30 minutes for each session. So that way it's a little bit more digestible, rather than trying to get the whole entire body every single day. At least during the week or when you need the stretches, they're available for you. All right, everybody, I'll see you here next time.